This watch has two date displays. Yes, this is the new Tangente 2 date by NOMOS, and by now, if you're watching this channel, you should know that I have become quite the NOMOS fan. And that's not just because they don't take themselves too seriously, it's also because their manufacturing process and the fact that they make most of the parts of their movements themselves in Glashütte. I've been there, I've seen it, and therefore the value that you get for these watches at these price points is really incredible. Design-wise, well, it's always subjective. Either you like them or you don't like them. My favorite model definitely is the Club Campus. I have become a fan of the Tangente lineup. NOMOS just recently launched a new Tangente, the Tangente 2 date. As the name suggests, this watch has two dates. Why would you put in two dates? I don't get it. I've tried to think of a second watch that has two dates, like similar to this watch. It is cased in a 37.5 millimeters of steel case, and it's the diameter. It has a lug-to-lug of 47.7 millimeters, a height of just under 7 millimeters. So this watch again is ultra thin, and it's also a reason why I like the NOMOS watches. And it has 50 meters of water resistance. Also pretty cool. Honestly speaking, I have no clue why NOMOS would add a watch to their collection with two date displays. But I found an interesting point that I actually have a use case for. When I look at my watches, I usually prefer watches that have no date display because, let's be honest, you have a phone most of the times in your pockets. If not, the computer on your desk will tell you what day it is, and you will have a calendar, so you will not need a date display on your watch. I have become to realize that having a date display sometimes in certain occasions comes in quite handy. As some of you might know, I run the company here. I frequently have to sign documents and have to put on a date of said day that I signed the document. And recently, I have discovered that I am looking at my wrist more often to see what date it is, to put it on these papers and documents. And I guess there are more people out there that find a date very useful. Otherwise, these watches with dates wouldn't be as commercial as they are. But I have become a date window lover. I have found it very helpful to, first of all, see the whole month displayed on the dial of the watch, because you know what day it was yesterday and you know what day it will be tomorrow. Obviously, every one of us could count, but it kind of is very helpful if you just have a look at your wrist, and with a quick glance, you will instantly know what date it is and what date it was yesterday and what date it will be tomorrow. And therefore, I like these two red dots that, first of all, they indicate what date it is, and they put the date of the actual day in the middle of these red dots. And on the outside of both red dots, there is the date that it was yesterday and the date that it was or will be tomorrow. And therefore, I find this quite interesting. And I've worn the watch for a couple of days, and despite me starting to really appreciate the Tangente and the design, I have found a use case for the two dates. So if you're like me, and some of you must be, and you have to sign a lot of documents, then this might be a watch for you, especially for the price point. I think it's priced just over 2,000 euros or 2,600, I think. Great deal. The watch is using a NOMOS in-house manual wind movement with 52 hours of power reserve. It's nicely finished at the back. There's a little downset that I don't like. You have an open case back and you can look at the watch, but the movement is way smaller than the case and it kind of looks a bit weird. Other than that, the watch is cool. It's thin. The design is fantastic. It's a tried and true design. I think the NOMOS Tangente is one of their best-selling models, and they have it in different kinds of sizes, aesthetics, dial designs, with two dates. You can go on two dates with this watch. To conclude this very interesting review about the NOMOS Tangente to date, NOMOS is currently running their advent calendar. So if you want to jump on a couple of deals, maybe get something for free, then definitely check out their advent calendar that is going until the 24th of December. NOMOS just opened a brand new boutique in New York. So if you're from the States, and a lot of viewers that I have are from the States, and if you live in New York, go check it out. This is fantastic because you can go hands-on with tons of their watches and also see this NOMOS Tangente to date there in their new boutique. So basically I rambled about of why I think that this date display, to date displays are kind of interesting. But I actually have found a use case for it, and I have become more appreciative of date displays in general. And this kind of helps. Also, the design is pretty cool. I think that NOMOS can do a lot more with this cool date display. Reminds me of these triple calendars from, I think it was the 50s and 60s, like the Movado triple date or a Omega Cosmic. And therefore I like the outer ring of the dial used as a date display. It's just pretty fancy. Maybe one could leave out the date window at 6 o'clock. I have no idea if this kind of format is interesting. I'm trying to figure out a new way to make these videos more interesting, and I kind of want to make them more fun for me. This is a different angle of my office, and my office has gotten a tad bit smaller from the previous one, and it's not finished at all. I haven't figured out my setup in terms of microphone. The camera I'm filming on is the Leica SL2S, which will be the camera that I will film on for the future as well. And it has served me well. Let me know in the comments down below if you have any feedback for me, any suggestions of how to improve this setup. Also, put in the comments down below if you have any feedback for the NOMOS Tangente to date. This is all for this video today. If you guys want to check out 2 other reviews of the NOMOS watches, I'll have 2 videos linked up above. And as always, if you feel like it, put a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe. See you in the next video. Thank you very much for watching. Bye-bye.